First thing I want you to do is introduce yourself. Tell us how you started out, how you get to love being in the auto industry. I know that you're a motor car enthusiast.
Yeah,
So,
well, I mean, love is a very strong word to use for how I feel about the auto industry.
right. But go ahead
But
because I know persons who stay in it are the lovers of cars. That's what comes first, and
yeah,
and the customer service grows on you, right?
of course, yeah. Like to be honest, I used to always just be in sales for
Yeah.
like a good portion of my career. As soon as I left high school, I just went straight into a sales job
Right.
until one day I was laid off the second time actually from a sales job because you know
Okay.
how they are, you know.
Hmm.
So company wasn't doing too well, whatever, laid me off, and then I was like, you know what, I love cars. So let me just try to get into that, right? So I started doing a co-op, and I was doing it through as at a side shop first, and then I went through Canadian Tire, and then one day, position opened as an advisor. So I figured let me just give that a shot because like I like being I like being an apprentice, but it wasn't it's like it's nice, it's fun to work on your own car,
Yeah.
but when you have to like work on somebody else's car when there's like time restraints and things like that, it wasn't like really a passion for me. So I decided, you know what, I like cars, I love cars, and I like talking with people, and I like communicating with people. So an advisor would be a perfect position, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, I became an advisor at Canadian Tire, and then yeah, and then that was it from there.
Okay. But at what age was this? You said
So
straight out of high school?
so when I left high school, first I was in sales, and I stayed there for like I was doing sales for a number of years. I didn't start my apprenticeship until I was 24.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, like it just like the apprenticeship, like it just wasn't for me, to be honest. And I liked being an advisor. I decided to just continue with that instead.
But you'd have made so much more if extended that career into a mechanic and becoming a master technician. That's where the big bucks comes in.
Honestly, and I thought about that too, and I always think about that too. Like,
Mhm.
but it's just like at the end of the day, it's money, not really everything. Like the way I look at it is that cars are very like you know it takes a certain finesse to fix a car right and
Yeah.
to fix it on time and things like that, and also to deal with it mentally as well too.
Mhm.
And honestly, like people is just easier to deal with than cars.
Really?
Yeah, which is surprising.
I've never
I
heard it
know,
from that approach before, but
right?
I mean,
Yeah,
if you're a people person, of
yeah,
course. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You know, but like a car, you have to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of the day, right?
So give us a little bit more from Canadian Tire. Where did you move on next?
So I was at Canadian Tire for about a year, no, about 2 years. I was at Canadian Tire, and then I moved to Volkswagen.
Okay.
I was at Volkswagen for a number of years, and then they went through the whole diesel scandal and
Oh yes,
everything
yes,
that was
yes,
all going
yes,
on. So,
yes. Yeah, the
so when I
emission
was like,
scandal, yes.
yeah, yeah. So when I was working there, like they're going through the whole mission scandal and everything. So after the whole scandal, it was like working at Volkswagen, you're constantly trying to just prove yourself to them that
Yeah.
you're not scamming them, because most people
Mhm.
just they didn't understand the whole emission scandal. They just assume, oh, we're as a customer, I'm just getting scammed by Volkswagen. You know what I mean?
Okay, yes. It left a
So
bad taste in a lot of customers' mouth, right?
exactly.
So
You
they
know
have
what?
to do they had you had to be doing a lot of damage control.
Exactly. And it would be like from, somebody first walks in the door. Oh, like, especially if they had a diesel, they walk through the door and you gotta lay a red carpet for them.
Yeah, yeah. But how has operations changed since you first started out along that journey? What were some of the changes you saw?
So to be honest, like a lot of the drastic changes already kind of taken place when I entered the industry already.
Uh-huh.
So it's so it's hard to really comment on that, but like what I could say is that towards the ending of, you know, of I guess my automotive career, you would say, like it just became more and more again, like even though I was working at a different brand, it just became more and more again of trying to convince people that, you know, you're not trying to rip them off or
Hmm.
things like that.
Hmm.
It didn't become about the cars. It was actually more about the customer service and more about the people
Right, right.
versus fixing the cars itself.
Yeah. Because you are the bridge between the service department, the parts department, and the sales department. Because customer satisfaction, you have to be exhuming that at all times.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
at the same time, no, you have to also exercise and increase the customer retention rate.
yes, yeah. And I feel like nowadays it's a lot more important. Like, you know, before, like, okay, so there's so many shops around now, right?
Yes,
Everywhere you go,
definitely. Yeah,
there's a
the
garage.
competition is
Yeah,
high. Yeah.
competition's so high now. So it's like you have to really, really stand out for, you know, your customers to want to come back, right? Because if it's
Hmm.
about money, like, and you can always find somebody that's willing to do it cheaper, right?
Yeah, 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 definitely. So, what were some of the biggest challenges you encountered while you were an advisor? Because I mean, that's your passion as well, but you must have come across a lot of try to convince
Yes.
people. I
Yeah,
mean, in terms of some of the upselling strategies you have to use to, make the numbers, because of course, the numbers are very important. But
of course.
what were some of the challenges you encountered?
Well, okay, so number one, it's like in this industry, you can't really, you know, like the way I look at it is like I wasn't ever in the industry to rip people off, but
Hmm.
I always felt like I was like you're always trying to prove that you're not trying to do that again, you know?
Yes, yes.
And like to be honest, I feel like with me a lot because I was a younger guy, that a lot of times, especially when I was working at Canadian Tire, they would think I was just trying to rip them off like all the
Mhm.
time. Like, and I, you know, I would tell people that, you know, if I was in that business, I wouldn't be in the automotive industry because it would actually be really hard to do that in the automotive industry
Yeah.
because everybody has their defenses up
Mhm.
realistically, right? And yeah, I feel like that's something that I dealt with a lot. And then like, you know, it's trying to convince older people too, or
Mhm.
like trying to show them that maybe what they know isn't as correct as what they
Yeah.
might think.
Yes. Yes.
So
Because
that's
some of them
yeah,
already come with the preconceived notion that they have a certain amount of money to spend. But
exactly.
but when you diagnose the car, then
Yeah,
you realize that A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? A lot more things needed to be done.
exactly.
So
And now some kid is telling you that.
yes.
Right?
Exactly, exactly. So, how do you convince someone much older
Exactly.
than you are? Yeah, yes.
Exactly. So what the one way I worked around it is just knowledge. Knowledge is
Mhm.
power, really and truly. Like I even to this day, like even though I'm not in the industry anymore, I'm constantly interested in the automotive industry. I'm constantly watching videos, doing my research, like just outside of the training that we used to do and things like that, because it's always good to arm yourself with knowledge, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So and that was one big thing that I strived on, and especially because I worked in the back as well too. So it was
Yeah, you
just
have a knowledge of what's going on at all times.
yeah, exactly
But
for the most part.
tell us a little bit more about your dealership experience. How was it overall?
Uh like okay, so I don't to be honest, it was pretty good. Like
Yeah.
from from what you're told and from what you know, when I was at Canadian Tire, they used to say, "Oh yeah, the dealership is, you don't want to work at the dealer. Like they're gonna
Hmm.
take advantage of you. They're gonna do this. They're gonna try to make you sell things that you don't need to sell. Like it's all about numbers. Like they put all that in your head, right?
Yes,
And then
yes.
when you actually go there, you realize that it's the complete opposite. The dealership is actually more about the service, the customer service, and
Yeah.
like, yeah, they're about the numbers and things like that. And yeah, of course, we have to, every business you have to hit numbers, but
Mm-hmm.
like how you're hitting it really is what separated, for me, is what separated like a small shop versus the dealership. They were more integrity, like there was more integrity
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like as an employee in the dealership, it was very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, but it was a good time though. Like honestly, I can honestly say it is a good time working. It was a good time working there.
Well, of course, the dealership presents itself as the standard, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And it is their duty to train their employees at a particular level to get their competency up because they
yeah,
want everything to be above board at all times, right?
yeah.
So the image is there and they have to try to maintain that image. But at the same time, no, what was your perception
So
after going through all that?
so now here's the thing is that yes, they advertise the professionalism, the top-notch technicians, things like that. But it's like
Mhm.
after you work in the dealership, you kind of realize that a lot of that's just kind of, not to say it's not true,
Yeah.
but it's a bit of an extension of the truth. Like to be honest, it's all the same type of people working everywhere. Like,
Mhm.
what's the
Mhm.
difference between a tech that's been at 30 years at, like, let's say, a Canadian Tire or a smaller shop versus somebody at a dealer? Yeah, their knowledge might be a bit different, but the integrity is kind of the same, right?
Yes, yes,
Like, if
yes.
somebody's been in the industry for so long, their integrity is going to be just as well as somebody else at the dealership. But
Yeah.
I feel like the dealership, they tried to really kind of push that, like, yeah, we're here for the customers first type of thing.
Mhm.
But I mean, again, at the end of the day, it's always a business, right?
Well, of course.
Yeah,
And they
right.
have to be above board at all times, depending on
Yeah,
who is in charge, of course, because
yeah,
as you know, brands
exactly.
differ and
Mhm.
dealership operations differ depending on the model that you're actually selling
Yeah.
and servicing and recommending to your friends and family. But what since you've been in it and you've seen the changes, you've experienced the changes, what would be some of your recommendations to dealerships?
Training, a big thing would be training, and
Yeah.
not training as in, you got to sit on a computer and go through all your courses and just click through everything.
Hmm.
Like actual proper training. Like I always find it, so surprising when I call a dealership and I ask them like, questions about any of the services, and whoever picks up the phone, like, if you're picking up the phone in the dealership, you should at least have some kind of knowledge about something,
Yeah.
about at least some kind of knowledge about the department, or at least like if I call a dealership and I ask somebody for an oil change price or like prices on like services,
Hmm.
anybody there should be able to give me that.
Well, yeah, that is true.
You
But
know what I mean?
currently, a lot of dealers are suffering from
It's
the shortage of knowledgeable people working in the
yeah,
dealership because
yeah,
the turnover is very high.
yeah, it is.
They
And like
don't.
like where I was one of the last advisors there for a good portion,
Hmm.
for a good length of time.
Yeah,
Like while I was there, I seen so many people come in and out through the
yeah,
door.
yeah,
And that was
yeah,
just in a short amount of time.
yeah.
Like,
And
so I can
that
only imagine in a longer period, like how many people.
yeah, and that's a reflection of the deal the leadership. As a matter
Yeah,
of fact, that is a
mhm,
reflection of the leadership. If there's no standard operating procedures there, and
yeah,
then there's no policy and guideline for everyone that it goes right across the board, then
yeah,
it's gonna be lost because the leadership has to set the tone, right? The
yeah.
mission, the vision, the values from which the company itself strive on. But if they keep moving the goalposts and changing the rules of the game, people are just going to get frustrated and just keep on leaving. And that's
Yeah, and
that's that's commonplace in a lot of
yeah,
dealerships. Based
exactly.
on
It's like,
my yeah, based on my personal experience, but
yeah,
seems that you have experienced the same thing as well.
yeah. It's like soon as you get used to something, something changes
Something changes. Yeah.
and you have to readapt to it. But it's like I get the forever changing thing. It's good for that, to always evolve. But sometimes it's like you have to at least, start. You have to at least master what you were doing first before you try to move on to
Move
something
on to
else.
something else. Yeah,
Yeah,
that is so true. That is
you
so
know.
true. But in
And
terms of the market as it is right now, because you've seen so many models of different cars servicing, the different features going through the garages and thing, how should we prepare for a market that is constantly changing?
you know what? I think as an employee, if you're in the industry, like you should have enough passion to want to keep up to date with a lot of the new technology.
Hmm.
Like like to be honest, I don't think it's an industry for somebody to go in just as like, oh, I'm just looking for a job.
Right.
Because it does require, like, for a dealership to run really well, it does require more employees that are they're willing to make this their career, right?
Hmm.
Versus somebody that's just there working 9 to 5. I'm just here to clock in, clock out. Like somebody like that, they're not going to go their, you know, over and above to arm themselves with knowledge, right?
Hmm.
To
Hmm.
help themselves in the dealership, unless the dealership is making them do that.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like, yeah, you can make your employees do it too, but at the same time, it is on people as well too to kind of arm themselves with knowledge.
Yeah, but there has to
Both
be some
ways.
incentive for
Exactly. Yeah.
for the employee to be doing that, so going above and
Yeah.
beyond.
Yeah. And
What
that's
what
what I was gonna say as well too, is that if I'm doing that, like it has to be worth it for me.
right.
Like if I'm as an advisor, if I've been there for 3-4 years and I know everything in and out about the cars, and I can diagnose things in the drive-through and things like that before it even gets into the shop. If I'm able to do things like that,
Yeah.
and like, yeah, you should incentivize
Right.
for that.
Right. 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 But
And I think, yeah, that's one thing too. It's like, again, they're always looking for somebody to do something cheaper,
mhm.
and that works with employees too.
Yeah. But on the notion of incentives, yeah, it has
Yeah,
to be incentivized for the employee to put out the extra effort. But at the same
exactly.
time, no, they have to, the leadership of the company, the dealership, no, they have to do what do you call it now? They have to keep the employees engaged at all
Yes, yeah.
times, the buy-in principle. But
Mhm.
Brian, as you and I know, the auto industry sometimes it's a very unforgiving industry.
Yeah.
You can put out a lot, and then by the snapping of the finger, right, something happens, whether by economic turmoil or natural disaster or the current situation. No, COVID is upon us. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
yeah, where we're the first to go, right?
yeah,
And it's
exactly.
always one of the very first industry to be affected.
Yeah. And like again, like with this whole COVID thing, it kind of really showed you it showed you what you're worth for the employees, for the company side.
Right.
Like, you know, me personally, I felt like I gave a lot to the dealership when I was there. And I felt like I was just kind of, okay, thanks for your time,
Thanks
but
for
we
your
need to make
service.
some
Yeah.
cut.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Or if you're there and then it's
yeah.
by the stroke of a button, someone just gets up and says, we're moving in a different direction.
Yeah, and that's yeah, exactly. That's yes, yeah,
Oh yeah,
exactly.
I've heard it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes, yeah,
I've
yes,
heard it so
exactly.
often.
Yeah, 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 yes, exactly. Yeah, that's the number. That's the line.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard it very often, very, very often, Ryan. But what are you thinking about? Are you planning on going back into the dealership?
Um, to be honest, man, like I have my own business now, so I don't really plan on going back in the automotive
Okay,
industry.
okay,
Like I
great.
I I liked it and I loved it for what it was, and it taught me a lot. And it taught me actually more about people than
Mhm.
about cars.
Okay.
like which is
Okay.
the funny, yeah, which is the thing. Like I learned more about people working in that industry. But yeah, it was something good, but I wouldn't be able to go back to it.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
yeah, it's just I was just it was nice, and I love cars, and I love do like I like cars. I was always love cars, but like working in that industry, it's not something for me anymore.
One of the takeaways I got from it, and which is why I have you here, is
Yeah.
that it develops us in terms of building customer relations, right?
Yes.
So that was one of the biggest advantages of working in the auto industry, especially if you're on the front line,
Yeah.
interacting with customers on a daily
Exactly.
basis. Your confidence goes up, your knowledge base increases a lot. You're more aware of what is going on in and around you in terms of general affairs and everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, it keeps you in tune. And like I said, if you're a people person, then it comes naturally in the way you interact on a daily basis.
Yeah. It's very true, honestly. It's very true. Like that like working with people and then trying, it taught me a lot of trying to see things from other people's perspective.
Yeah,
Because like prior to working in the automotive industry, you don't really realize how important somebody's car is,
yeah.
really, and that's something that it kind of taught me, like, and to be more sympathetic to people as well too,
Right, right, right. Yes,
because like
yeah, you're dealing with people of all walks of life, and
yes,
if someone comes in and their budget is tight, and you try to help them as much as possible, because at the end of the day, it's people, and we all have our many differences and personal problems and issues. So you try to help them as much as possible, and
yeah,
that's one of the biggest reward of
yeah,
working there, because you get to put a smile on someone's face,
yeah,
and they genuinely like and respected the fact that you made an effort to
yeah,
solve their problem.
yeah. And you know what, like there's like a handful of customers that you'll always remember, obviously, and like they would have been the ones that would make it all worth it,
Yeah.
at at the end of the day, you see, Mr. Whoever, and you're like, oh yes, like yeah, I can talk to this guy for a bit. It's a good mental reset, or he's not gonna give me a hassle, or it's like he's gonna leave there thinking, like, knowing that he got a good service and knowing that you did the best you can, and he's not, you know what I mean? Like they're not
Right.
expecting anything more or anything less, right?
Yes, yes, definitely. You mentioned earlier you were with Volkswagen and then you were with Toyota, but
Yeah,
how, if I should, tickle your brain a little, how would
yeah.
you compare both brands in terms of their operations? Or were the dealers
Oh,
operated similar, or was one more process oriented? What were the
um,
significant differences?
it was actually completely different, to be honest. Like in the way that like not completely okay, it was completely different in the back end, like when it came to like the paperwork and things like that and the processes.
Hmm.
But like in the front end, like being an advisor at both dealerships was like the same thing,
Yeah.
I went from Volkswagen, and you know what, honestly, dealing with Volkswagen customers are a lot worse than Toyota ones. I'll tell you that much. I'll tell you that much.
Maybe you're giving Toyota too much credit.
So especially if you're dealing with the ones after the diesel, yeah, it's like.
Okay, okay. On that note, well, yeah.
But one thing is that okay, so the difference between both of them is like Volkswagen, when there was a failure on, their um, engines or anything like that, it was like you had to do everything to kind of get them to cover it or things like that. There was a lot more hoops and things to jump through, and like it was like everything that we did, we always have to double check it and triple check it
Mhm.
to make sure it was done properly. If not, like we would have to resubmit everything, or it would just be a longer process. Toyota to me was a lot more lenient, and you're actually able to contact anybody that's higher up when you're working at Toyota a lot easier than when we were working at Volkswagen, to be honest.
Okay.
Like it just felt like Volkswagen at the dealership was a lot isolated from Volkswagen Canada
Mhm.
versus like Toyota as a dealership felt like it's more connected to, TCI or like anywhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They tend to have that connection, and
Yeah,
that is why they're among the leaders in terms of
yeah,
the way they do things. Their processes are a lot easier, and they try to
yes,
make it as much as lenient as possible because
yeah,
they understand the fact that dealerships move cars,
yeah,
right? And customer relations, customer retention, and customer satisfaction is key. So
mhm,
they have to try to assist the dealers as much as possible.
yeah.
If the dealers are disgruntled, you won't be able to meet your numbers in terms of a manufacturing scale. So I mean, it's a never ending cycle.
It
But
is. Yeah. And you know what? Like it's so much easier to when like to, it was a lot easier at Toyota to get things done than it was at Volkswagen, to be
okay,
honest. Like with Volkswagen, it was just very like it was either yes or no. That was it.
that was it. There was no gray areas.
No gray areas. With no gray areas. Just yes or no. That was it. And yeah, if you didn't like it, like I'm sorry. There's not much we can do. Like no matter what we did to contact Volkswagen,
Right.
Canada, they would no, no.
Well, hopefully someone from Volkswagen Canada
Yeah.
sees this and try to improve as much as possible. But
Honestly, yeah. Cause like yeah, it wasn't easy working there because there was a lot of yeah, it wasn't, and the processes too. There weren't like at every Toyota, the processes are more or less the same.
yeah,
At Volkswagen, no, every dealership had its own process.
own processes, yeah,
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 yeah, yeah,
because they didn't have standard operating procedures, and
yes,
that is a factor in
yeah,
terms of compliance.
yeah,
Compliance is also something that Toyota is big on, right?
yes,
And they will,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
and they will share the information in terms of best practices right across the world. All you do
yeah,
is look at what another region is doing, then you take that information, take it across, you customize it,
yeah,
right? You don't use everything, you customize it based on your market, your
yeah,
culture, your the values and attitudes of the customers that you're actually serving, and then you implement it. That's basically what it is, right? But I can't say much for Volkswagen. I've never worked with them.
yeah,
I Ford is also similar to Toyota.
yes,
They caught on. They have their one Ford vision that they spread across to all dealers. So they're also another very good one as well. I've
uh,
worked with Subaru. Subaru has their processes. They're partially owned by Toyota. So
yeah,
the
yeah,
processes,
yeah,
yeah, the
yeah.
processes are similar. But hopefully they they will improve as they go along because
Exactly.
the
Like
market, yeah, the market right now is not slowing down. Even though there's a
yeah,
pandemic, the market isn't slowing down. Electric vehicles are now here, so hopefully they'll get to it.
yeah. It's yeah, no, yeah, like this new shift in technology too. It's pretty amazing. Like the things that cars come with now and everything. So it's like I'm interested to see how things would play out in the dealership with all this new technology,
Yeah,
especially being on now the customer side.
right.
So like I would be interested in that, like to see how things,
So now you're on the other side. You go
Yeah,
to the
I'm on the
dealership
other
now.
side, yeah.
So now you'll be able to scrutinize everything.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it's like we were saying earlier about the processes, that is something that I think all companies should implement. Like all like like auto manufacturers, like have the same processes for all their dealerships. I think that would actually streamline a lot of things.
Yes, yes, yes. The one that actually did it was Toyota themselves. They had the TPS, the Toyota Production System, that
Yeah,
a lot of other manufacturers and brands actually copied their system. That is why they are where they are right now. But If
Yeah.
you're not constantly innovating and improving your processes as you go along, then you're going to be left behind.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Very
Okay.
true. Yeah.
Well, Ryan, it has been a pleasure. I know it's
Yeah.
late. I know you want to get into bed, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I want to I want to thank you for taking the time out. It has been very, very educational, educating, informative, and I wish you all the best in your new
Thanks,
endeavors,
buddy. Thanks,
right?
man.
Of course, it will be more money in your pocket, and you can buy a luxury VW or a
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully they have their processes down by then.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah. Know that you'll be walking through the door and they'll have to ponder to you right now. So,
But no, man, it's yeah, no. I appreciate you having me on.
of course, of course.
Right.
And feel free, hit me up. And we can also, if you have anything else you want to share with us, by all means, let me know and then we can make it happen.
For sure. Appreciate it,
Okay.
man.
All right. Thank you for coming on and do have yourself a good night.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
All right. Take care.